Srimad Bhagavatam is the desired tree of Vedic wisdom. Veda itself means the aggregate of knowledge. Whatever knowledge is required for human society is perfectly presented in Srimad Bhagavatam. That's a nice statement. Whatever knowledge is required for human society is perfectly presented in Srimad Bhagavatam. There are different branches of knowledge in the Vedic writings, including sociology, politics, medicine, and military art. All these and other branches of knowledge are perfectly described in the Vedas. So as far as spiritual knowledge is concerned, that is also perfectly described there. And Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be the ripened fruit of this desire-fulfilling tree of the Vedas. A tree is honored by the production of its fruit. For example, a mango tree is considered very valuable because it produces the king of all fruits, the mango. When the mango fruit becomes ripened, it is the greatest gift of that tree, and Srimad Bhagavatam is similarly held to be the ripened fruit of the Vedic tree. And as ripened fruit becomes more relishable when first touched by the beak of a parrot or shuka, Srimad Bhagavatam has become more relishable by being delivered through the transcendental mouth of Shuka Dev Goswami. So, Prabhupada says, whatever knowledge is required for human society is not only presented in Bhagavatam, but perfectly presented. This is the real knowledge that's required for human society. Our society is so backwards because we don't have this spiritual knowledge. But everything you need is in Bhagavatam, how to run a perfect society. So that we really have to, it's like if you're really cold, then if you get really hot, it'll like equalize you out. Rather than you go to a warm place, it's going to take a lot longer. So we're so contaminated, this material society, civilization is so far off that we want to get the exact opposite, or the deeper, the really heavy spiritual truth, so it'll like equalize us, make us like sane people. So Bhagavatam is that very, very powerful message of what society is supposed to be like. And it seems ancient, or it seems outdated, but as I was mentioning to Terrence today, we're just in a little speck of the time continuum. This little speck of Kali Yuga. It's the shortest of all the yugas, and we're in a very, very tiny speck of time within that Kali Yuga. But we think, hey, this is life, this is our planet, these are the countries, these are the wars, these are the politics. But it's a very, very narrow conditioning. Our conditioning is making us think this is what life is. But this is a very fractional picture. So the Bhagavatam exposes us to this higher reality that extends for millions of years, and we see how for most of the time periods, how people live. In most of the time periods in this universe, people don't live like they live in Kali Yuga. And you could say most of the time, people practice a very strict spiritual life, spiritual discipline in this universe. So we need to hear about that. And even we won't be able to follow it strictly, because Kali Yuga, everything becomes difficult. At least knowing the ideal, or knowing the standard, it purifies us. If we don't even know the standard, then we're kind of like shooting in the dark. Like if we read Gita, but haven't read Bhagavatam, then we know the basic philosophy, but the subtleties, the deeper spiritual culture, it's still kind of vague. We're not going to really know how to live in this world. So Bhagavatam is this ripened fruit. So just the Vedas have the essence of the Vedas. It says Bhagavatam is considered to be the ripened fruit of this desire-fulfilling tree of the Vedas. So the Vedas will fulfill all one's desires. If you want to really enjoy, then you can go to heaven. That's where you can really enjoy. You can really get much more enjoyment than you can here. If you really want knowledge, or you really want spiritual experiences, or you want the bliss of Brahman, the Vedas can give you all this. So therefore, that's the original purpose of this Karmakanda, or ritual portion of the Vedas. Okay, you want to enjoy, maybe for men, you want to enjoy a nice woman. But if you follow this way, you can do it in a much better way, actually. But the key is that you're following the Vedas. So for all people then, they should take knowledge from the Vedas, because it's mentioned here, fulfill all your desires. Whatever desire you have, you can actually fulfill it better if you do it this way, rather than settling for the low class, very low class enjoyment in the material world, which is called vikarma. The Vedic process will be called karma. Bhakti is called akarma. There's no karma. So amongst all these different things you can get in the Vedas, the Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of this desire tree. So there's many things you can get, but what do you really want out of a tree? You want that sweet fruit, juicy. You take a bite and that juice is just dribbling down your cheeks. You're making a big mess because it's so nectarian, flowing juice. So that's what the Bhagavatam says. Nigamakalpatariror galitam palam shukam karmritidravya samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasam malayam mahoraho rasika bhuvi bhavakaha. Relish this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the mature fruit of the Vedic wisdom. It emanated from the lips of Sri Shukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this nectarian fruit has become even more tasty, although its nectarine juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. Even liberated souls, they're free from suffering, they're experiencing spiritual bliss, they want to eat that fruit. They get a deeper spiritual experience. That's the Atmarama principle. Even those who are fully self-satisfied in Brahman become attracted to bhakti. So to taste that fruit, that's the Bhagavatam actually. Because the Bhagavatam is going to transport you, if you hear it properly and you do all the pre-work, when you hear it you're going to be transported to that spiritual reality. You're going to see Krishna, the spiritual world, all those things. If we can do it properly. Because the potency is there, but we are at differing levels of being able to access it. But by doing some service, Bhakti is where we do some service, we do some sadhana, we take prasadam, then we can taste it. To whatever degree, we'll be getting some taste, some relishment from that. It's like, there's one devotee in our movement, Keshava Bharati Maharaj, and he does the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. They're reading Bhagavatam every night. It's on Facebook, it's live. And you just get to hear every night. It may seem like, what? Just reading a book? It's going to be boring. No, but it's Bhagavatam. So it's like this sonic adventure into the universe, the meaning of the universe, and what's beyond this universe. Srimad Bhagavatam should be received in disciplic succession without any breakage. When ripened fruit comes from the upper part of the tree onto the ground by the process of being handed down from a higher branch to a lower branch by persons in the tree, the fruit does not break. Srimad Bhagavatam, when received in the parampara system or disciplic succession, will likewise remain unbroken. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that the disciplic succession or parampara is the way of receiving transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge must come down through the disciplic succession through authorized persons who know the real purpose of the Shastra. So we can't hear Bhagavatam from really anyone else, because the scholars or the speculators, they're not able to taste that fruit. It's licking the outside of the bottle of honey. They can just look at it and speculate about it. Only when you practice bhakti, then you can taste it. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended that one learn Srimad Bhagavatam from the mouth of a self-realized person called Bhagavatam. Bhagavat means in relationship with the personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. So the devotee is sometimes called Bhagavatam, and the book that is in relationship with devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is also called Bhagavatam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended that in order to relish the real taste of Srimad Bhagavatam, one should take instruction from the person Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is relishable even by a liberated person. Shukadeva Goswami admitted that although he was liberated from within the very womb of his mother, it was only after relishing Srimad Bhagavatam that he became a great devotee. This one who is desirous of advancing in Krishna consciousness should relish the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam through the discussions of authorized devotees. So when someone has fully realized that Bhagavatam, then the words that they speak will inject that meaning and that realization into the audience. So that we should aspire for, we should pray for that, we should seek out that association, someone who's self-realized.